So, dyslexia or dyscalculia. Do you know the difference? In this video, I'm covering the difference right now. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Aspie world. My name is Dan. I have autism, ADHD, OCD, and dyslexia, and I make weekly videos all about this kind of stuff. So if you're new around here and you'd like to learn more about that, remember to hit the subscribe button by clicking that notification bell down below. And if you're watching on Facebook, be sure to give this page a follow, and if you're watching on Instagram, make sure to give this account a follow to see more autism and other content. Boom, guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the place where we think differently daily. What's up, different thinkers? Good to have y'all here, yo. Anyway, so there is a very interesting term, dyscalculia. Now, a lot of people, use the term dyslexic for a lot of different things. So I was diagnosed with dyslexia when I was about 12 or 11, and because my reading and writing skills were lacking considerably, and so we did the test and I got dyslexia. Now, dyslexia impacts a lot of a person. It kind of impacts how a person, moves and coordinates themselves and reads and writes and understands complex tasks. And there's a lot of things that dyslexia interrupts and disrupts. But there's one thing that doesn't encompass within dyslexia, and that is the issue with numbers and reading and writing numbers. Now, dyslexia is normally for the language of written word rather than the language of something like coding or numbers, or the area of numbers. But a lot of people say the term, I'm dyslexic, but with numbers. And I hear this term all the time, and it's really funny because I'm really good at numbers, but I'm dyslexic, so I'm really bad with like words and reading and writing and stuff. But a lot of people would say, like, will be quite amazed that I'm really good with numbers, even though I'm dyslexic. They say, oh, how are you dyslexic and you're so good at numbers? And I'm like, well, guys, at the end of the day, it's a different thing. And that different thing is called dyscalculia. Now, dyscalculia is a condition that impacts someone's ability to read and write on the level of accepting numbers and like mathematical things. So recognizing numbers and reciting numbers efficiently and directly is somewhat of a difficult challenge, and sometimes a miss with people with dyscalculia. Now, a person can be diagnosed with just dyscalculia or just dyslexia, but a lot of the time people are diagnosed with dyslexia and dyscalculia kind of like as one thing. Now, there is another one that comes into this circle of loveliness here, which is something called dyspraxia. Now, dyspraxia, again, is something completely different. It's a different condition altogether, and I will cover that in another video. But for now, I was just wanting to talk about dyslexia versus dyspraxia. Now, there is a lot of people who will suffer with dyscalculia and not dyslexia, but I do believe that statistically, there are more people with dyslexia than there are dyscalculia. Now, being at a disadvantage with dyscalculia means that you can't recognize numbers efficiently, you can't recite numbers efficiently, you're probably poor at maths, and numbers pretty much rule the entire world. So if you think about it, everything uses numbers, from dialing a phone number to ordering food and paying for your bills. Everything is numbers, right? So dyscalculia can really impact and rock somebody's world, and it's a very serious condition. Now, a lot of people think that they have dyscalculia when they're just bad at maths, and this isn't really the case. One can be bad at maths but really not have dyscalculia, because again, you've got to think about the efficiency and the impact of not being able to recognize numbers or recite numbers or even read numbers when you see them written down. So in terms of actual dyscalculia, you have to have quite a severe relationship with numbers and number nomenclature to kind of really qualify for that. That being said, there are lots of people who do have dyscalculia, and it is a very crippling kind of condition. Now, dyslexia kicks my butt pretty much every single day. Ever since I could read or potentially read, I've just had issues with dyslexia. My brother always take the Michael out of me for like my spelling or my stutter or stammers, and also dyslexia kind of really has me. My handwriting is terrible, right? My handwriting, hands down, is terrible. Now, people can have dyslexia and not have bad handwriting, but it's very rare. But if you have dyscalculia, your handwriting probably will be okay, because you can read and write and spell like any other kind of typically able-brained person, or whatever you want to say about it. But in terms of people with dyscalculia, there is a difference when you're trying to write down numbers. Now, it's interesting how this affect the brain or where it comes from, and it is in its essence a learning difficulty. Just like dyslexia, dyspraxia, autism, these are all learning difficulties, and learning difficulties need to be treated as such. So a lot of kind of educational establishments will treat them as a disability or a disadvantage, which means that it will give you kind of like a recommended access to things and programs. Like we have where I live, there's something called the Miles Dyslexia Center, which is like a world famous award-winning dyslexia center, and I was privileged to use that when I was in university doing my degree, which is fantastic. But in terms of everywhere else, they should recognize it and give reasonable adjustments to dyscalculia and to dyslexia and to dyspraxia and to autism, because all of these neurodivergent kind of ways of thinking and abilities to see things really impacts your day-to-day life, because the world is set up for people who are of typical kind of neurological conditioning, neurotypicals. And so you got to think, you know, everything is set up neurotypically. So dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, autism, ADHD, all of these things are going to be really difficult to fit into those kind of like the round peg put into a square hole. It's never going to work. So it's something that we have to take into consideration as being a very serious condition, and yeah, super interesting. But I do not have dyscalculia. I love numbers, I love mathematics, it's absolutely fantastic, and yeah, maths is just great. But in terms of dyslexia, I do have dyslexia. It kicks my butt daily. I wish, you know, I could just get rid of it. But you know, practice makes progress. I practice every single day. I'm trying my best to improve that. So next time somebody thinks that dyslexia with numbers exists, just tell them it's not dyslexia, it's dyscalculia. Guys, if you think this video was educational, please share it on your Facebook, your Instagram, and your Twitter. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you next time, guys.